Hello, welcome to Study Circle. Today we are going to read Class 10th Standard Civics, Chapter 3, Gender, Religion and Caste. This video is made only for revision purpose, and this video is very useful for those who are preparing for any teaching exam. So, this is the summary of this whole chapter. So, let's start. Gender, Religion and Caste. In this chapter, we will read about the existence of social diversity. The existence of social diversity does not threaten democracy. Political expression of social differences is possible and sometimes quite desirable in democratic system. Before starting this chapter, you can see this figure. This is a poster from Bengal affirming women's strength. So now let's read the summary. Improvement of women's role in public life. Women are now found in working as scientists, doctors, engineers, etc., which were earlier not considerable suitable for women. In some parts of the world, for example, Scandinavian countries such as Sweden, Norway, and Finland, the participation of women in public life is very high. Condition of women in India. Disadvantage, discrimination, and oppression faced by women. In education, the literary rate among women is only 54% compared to 76% among men. High dropout rates. Parents prefer to spend their resources for their boys' education. And in jobs, the proportion of women is low in highly paid and valued jobs. Their work is not valued even though. On an average, an Indian woman works on 1 hour more than an average man every day. Unequal wages. They do not get equal wages for doing the same work as that of men. The Equal Remuneration Act 1976 provides that equal wages should be paid to equal work, but in almost all areas of work, women are paid less than men. Crime against women. There are reports of various kinds of harassment, exploitation, and violence against women. Domestic violence. They are not safe even with their own home from beating and harassment. Preference for boys. Sex selective abortion. In many parts of India, parents prefer to have sons and find ways to have the girl child aborted before she is born. This led to a decline in child sex ratio to merely 919. Women's political representation. Issues related to women's well-being or otherwise are not given adequate attention. Unless women control power, their problems will not get adequate attention. Women as elected representative. Less participation of women in legislature of India. The percentage of elected women members in Lok Sabha has touched 14.36% of its total strength for the first time in 2019. Their share in the state assemblies is less than 5%. India is among the bottom group of nations in the world. India is behind the average of several developing countries of Africa and Latin America. In the government, cabinets are largely all male when a woman becomes the chief minister or the prime minister. So this is a data of women in national parliaments in different regions of the world. You can see here. In Nordic countries, the most representation of women in national parliaments. The condition of India is very poor. Measure to improve women participation in legislature. To make it legally binding to have a fair proportion of women in the elected bodies. For instance, in local bodies, 1/3 of seats in local government bodies are now reserved for women. There has been demand for similar of at least 1/3 of seats in Lok Sabha and state assemblies for women. A bill with this proposal has been pending before the parliament for more than a decade. Social and religious diversity of India. The Census of India records the religion of every Indian after every 10 years since independence. The total population of each community has increased substantially, but their proportion in the country's population has not changed much. Composition of religious communities. The population of the Hindu, Jain, and Christian has declined marginally since 1961. Common but mistaken impression about the Muslims. It is believed that proportion of the Muslim in the country's population is going to overtake other religious communities. However, in actual, the balance in composition of different religion is expected to not to change in big way. Expert estimates done for such a committee show that the proportion of the Muslim is expected to go up a little by about 3 to 4% in the next 50 years. The proportion of Muslim, Sikh, and Buddhist population has increased slightly. Common but mistaken impression about the Muslim. Major caste groups. In 2011, the scheduled castes were 16.6% and the scheduled tribes were 8.6%. The scheduled castes were 16.6% and the scheduled tribes were 8.6% of the country's population. The census does not yet count the other backward classes. The National Sample Survey of 2004-5 estimate their population to be around 41%. The SC, ST and OBC together account for about two-thirds of the country's population and about three-fourths of the Hindu population. So here again a pie chart. Population of different religious communities in India according to 2011 census. Hindus are 79.8%, Muslims are 14.2%, Christian are 2.3%, and Sikhs are 1.7%. Other religion include Buddhist, Jain, Parsis are the Buddhist are 0.7%, Jain are 0.4%, and other religious that is religion not stated that is 0.2%. Now an important topic is that religion, communalism and politics. Religious differences based division are not as universal as the gender, but religious diversity is widespread in the world today. Even when most of the people belong to the same religion, there can be serious differences about the way people practice that religion. Unlike gender differences, the religious differences are often expressed in the field of politics. Relationship between religion and politics. Gandhiji used to say that religion can never be separated from politics, where the religion was not any particular religion but moral values that inform all religions. He believed that politics must be guided by the ethics drawn from religion. Human rights group in India have argued that most of the victims of communal rights in our country are people from religious minorities. Women's movement have argued that family laws of all religions discriminate against women. It is notable that the political acts are not wrong if they treat every religion equally. Ideas, ideals, and values drawn from different religions can perhaps should play a role in politics. Communalism and religion. Communalism becomes a problem when religion is seen as the basis of the nation. Communal politics, when beliefs of one religion are presented as superior to those of other religions and the state power is used to establish domination of one religious group over others. Idea behind communal politics. The religion is the principal basis of social community. The followers of a particular the followers of the particular religion belong to one community and their fundamental interests are the same. Also, the people who follow different religions cannot belong to the same social community. Their interests are bound to be different and involve a conflict. Extreme form of communalism. It leads to the belief that people belonging to different religions cannot live as equal citizens within one nation. Either one of them has to dominate the rest of they have to form different nations. Flaws in the idea of communalism. People of one religion do not have the same interest and aspiration in every context. Everyone has several other roles, positions, and identities. Any attempt to bring all followers of one religion together in context of other than religion is bound to suppress many voices within that community. Various forms of communalism in politics. In everyday beliefs, it involves religious prejudices, stereotypes of religious communities, and belief in the superiority of one religion over other religion. Quest for political domination of one's religious community. For those belonging to majority community, this takes the form of majoritarian dominance. For those belonging to the minority community, it can take the form of desire to form a separate political unit. Political mobilization on religious lines. It involves the use of sacred symbols, religious leaders, emotional appeal, and plain fear in order to bring the followers of one religion together in the political arena. Communal violence, riots, and massacre. India and Pakistan suffered some of the worst communal riots at the time of partition. Secular state. A secular state is one which is officially neutral in matters of religion, supporting neither religion nor irreligion. Reflection of secular state in our constitutional provisions in India. Unlike Sri Lanka, where Buddhism is the official religion of the country, India has no official religion. This could be expanded as it provides to all individuals and communities freedom to profess, practice, and propagate any religion. It prohibits discrimination on grounds of the religion. It allows the state to intervene in the matters of religion in order to ensure equality within ensure equality within religious communities. Secularism is not just an ideology of some parties or person but constitutes one of the foundation of our country. Communalism threatens the very idea of India. Prevailing caste inequality. National sample survey shows that the caste continues to be very strongly linked to the economic status in many important ways. First, the average economic status measured by criteria like monthly consumption expenditure of caste groups still follows the old hierarchy. For example, the upper caste are best off and the Dalits and Adivasis are worst off. Although every caste has some poor members, the proportion living in extreme poverty below the official poverty line is much higher for the lowest caste and much lower for the upper caste. The upper caste are heavily overrepresented among the rich, while the other lower caste are severely underrepresented. So here is a chart again. This shows the percentage of population living below the poverty line according to 1999 and 2000 census. The caste and community group scheduled tribes in rural area is 45.8% and urban area 35.6% people living below the poverty line. Scheduled castes are 35.9 in rural area and 38.3 in urban area. Other backward classes 27% in rural area and urban 29.5% living below the poverty line. Muslim upper caste are 26.8% and in urban area that is 34.2%. Hindu upper caste 11.7%, 9.9% in urban area. Christian upper caste in rural area 9.6% and in urban area that is 5.4%. Sikh upper caste in rural area is 0% and in urban area 4.9%. Other upper caste are 16% in rural area and in urban area it is 2.7%. So in total all groups are 27% in rural area and in urban area it is 23.4% people living below the poverty line. Upper caste here means those who are not from SC, ST or OBC and below the poverty line means those who spend rupees 327 or less per person per month in rural and rupees 454 or less per person per month in urban areas. This data is according to 1999 to 2000 census. And this data is collected by National Sample Survey Organization, Government of India. So, the caste and politics. Basis of caste system. Caste system is rooted in the belief that caste is the sole basis of social community and the people belonging to the same caste belong to natural social community and have the same interest, which they do not share with anyone from another caste. Caste inequalities. Unlike gender and religion, caste division is special to India. All societies have some kind of social inequality and some form of division of labor. In most societies, occupation are passed on from one generation to another. It is extreme form of caste system. In caste system, hereditary occupational division was sanctioned by rituals. Members of the same caste group were supposed to form a social community that practiced the same or similar occupation, married within the caste group etc. Caste system was based on exclusion and discrimination against the outcast group. They were subjected to the inhuman practice of untouchability. Changes in caste system of modern India. There is a breakdown of caste hierarchy due to economic development, large-scale urbanization, growth of education, occupational mobility, and the weakening of the position of landlords in the villages. The Constitution of India prohibited any caste-based discrimination and laid the foundation of policies to reverse the injustices of caste system. Non-disappearance of caste in contemporary India. Some of the older aspects of caste have persisted, like even now, most people marry within their own caste or tribe. Untouchability has not ended completely despite the constitutional prohibition. The caste group that had access to education under the old system have done very well in acquiring modern education. Caste continues to be closely linked to the economic status. Caste in politics. Manifestation of caste in politics. Selection of candidates in election. Parties keep in mind that caste composition of the electorate and nominate candidates from different castes to muster necessary support to win elections. Raising caste sentiments. Political parties and the candidate in election make appeal based on caste sentiment to muster support. Political mobilization. Universal adult franchise and principle of one person one vote have compelled political leaders to gear up to the task of mobilizing and securing political support of particular community. So you can see here a figure from your NCERT book. A man who belongs from an untouchable community or caste is doing the manual scavenging. This is the example of Apartheid in modern India. Election and caste. Parties need support of more than one caste. No parliamentary constituency in the country has a clear majority of one single caste. No party wins the vote of all the other voters of a caste or community. Some voters have more than one candidate from their caste, while many other voters have no candidate from their caste. The ruling party and the sitting MP or MLA frequently lose elections in our country. This signifies that all castes and communities were not frozen in their political preferences. Flaws in the idea of politics. People within the same caste or community have different interests depending on their economic condition. Rich and poor, or men or women from same caste, often vote differently. People's assessment of the performance of the government and the popularity rating of the leaders matters and are often decisive in elections. Politics in caste. Politics also influence the caste system and caste identities by bringing them into political arena. Thus, it is not politics that gets caste ridden, it is the caste that gets politicized. Manifestation of politics in caste. Each caste group tries to become bigger or incorporating the neighboring caste or subcaste, which were earlier excluded from it. Various caste groups are required to enter into a coalition with other caste or communities and thus enter into a dialogue and negotiation. New kinds of caste groups have come up in the political arena like backward and forward caste groups. In some situations, expression of caste differences in politics gives many disadvantaged communities the space to demand their share of power. Now, the interesting point of this chapter is that child sex ratio is the number of girl children per thousand. Child sex ratio is the number of girl children per thousand boys. A time use survey conducted by the Government of India in 6 Indian states shows that an average woman works every day for a little over 7.5 hours, while an average man works for 6.5 hours. So there is a difference of 1 hour between the works of man and woman. So this is the summary of this whole chapter. If you like this video, then please like, share and subscribe. Thank you.